You're listening to Prosper in the Kingdom, the podcast where faith meets practical strategies to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Join hosts John Cleaver and Wendy Lee as they share insights to equip you in your journey toward abundance, spiritually, financially, and beyond. Just a reminder, every situation is unique. The content of this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as specific financial or medical advice.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Prosper in the Kingdom. It's an awesome Wednesday, and I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm excited about our topic. I'm here with the ever awesome Miss Wendy Lee. Hi, Wendy.
Hey, I'm never not awesome, according to you. I love it.
Okay, well, that means your stock's going up. That's what we're talking about, right? So that's good. That's good. So, well, we're not talking about how awesome Wendy Lee is today. We're actually talking about something that I've learned about over the last few years. And I was real reluctant about it at first, being a Gen Xer, right? And then we've got Wendy, who's said she's Gen X, but I think she's more Millennial. She's right there on the cusp, but we'll see.
1980,
anyway,
baby.
Late 1980. But we're talking about crypto, right? We're talking about crypto. And, you know, I know a lot of people, I've talked to my friends, and they're like, man, I don't know. It just seems like it's, you know, total sketch or whatever. But it's real. It's here. It's not going anywhere. But before you jump in, there's a lot you need to know. And today's episode, we're going to talk about kind of the crypto 101 stuff. It's not really the end all and be all, but it's going to give you a good baseline to kind of understand the basics before you really start diving in. And, you know, I'm confident now that it's here. And there's a lot more that's going to be happening over the next, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and our kids and our grandkids, it may even be their primary currency. So I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that quite yet, but let's jump into it. Let's talk about crypto, Wendy.
Yeah. So first, what is crypto? Okay, I'll tell you. For a long time, it was confusing to me, and maybe not confusing. I just was like, I don't even want to know. I thought it would go like when it started out. I thought it would go away quick, but it's not. Sounds like it's here to stay. So, but at its core, crypto is basically digital money on the blockchain, which, to put that for the people that need it to understand it like I do, blockchain is
most of us.
Yeah. It's like the giant ledger that can't be changed. It's put on there. It cannot be altered. A decentralized ledger, right? It's secure, it's transparent, and it doesn't rely on banks. And crypto, right? Government is not printing it. Its value comes from supply and demand and trust in the system. And then there's different things like Bitcoin, right? John will get into it a little bit more, but that's often called digital gold. It holds a store of value, kind of like our gold, our physical gold does, holds the store of value. And then Ethereum. So I guess there's Ethereum, there is Ethereum and then Ether, which John will walk through that. But Ethereum is like a digital app store. So it's where smart contracts and decentralized apps run. And then you have stablecoins. So those peg themselves to the dollar. So cutting down on like the volatility and the wild swings. So, John, if you want to just kind of dig into those main types of crypto and break them down a little bit more, and then we have some other things in there like coins and tokens and things like that.
Yeah. So, really looking at what's the big draw to crypto. Number one, most of us out there realize that fiat currency, and that's what all countries have, right? Not every country. I think there's one or two that does have a gold background, but the United States used to have gold as its backing, and that was real money. You could exchange your paper money for gold. And then in 1971, we've talked about that in the past. We went off the gold standard and became what's called a fiat currency. And that's basically, it's not backed by anything but the good faith of the United States government, right? Which I love my country, don't get me wrong, but they print money like it's going out of style. They need more money. They just print more. Right? They tax us. That's part of it, but they don't like to tax us because they lose votes. So what do? They print more money. They've got the printers. So it makes our actual dollar value less. That's called inflation, right? So the big attraction to a decentralized currency means it's not attached to a central bank. it's basically being created out there by various, companies, groups. Bitcoin, for example, nobody's really sure who created it. It's just there. But it's one of those things that as more and more trust happens, and it is, it's pretty secure. It's on lockdown. You can't alter. You can't, take it or whatever. You can steal it, which we'll talk about security in a little bit. But there's a whole lot of different coins out there, and not all coins are equal. And a lot of people can get tripped up and say, "Oh, I saw this on TikTok. I'm going to buy this coin, and hopefully it's going to go up." So, what are the types of crypto? Well, like Wendy said, Bitcoin's kind of the standard, right? I that was my very first purchase was Bitcoin, and it was less than $1,000 when I bought some. I wish I would have held on to it, but I ended up. It was a test run, bought some, and it went up quite a bit and never hit that level before. And I'm like, okay, take the money and run. I still came out ahead. I'm so psyched about it, and it wasn't really to make money. It was more about to learn about crypto. And everybody used to call Bitcoin was like that's all everybody knew, right? So you've got Ethereum, which is the other kind of standard. Bitcoin is more like a store. Think of it like digital gold, right? As when he said Ethereum, that's another one that a lot of people have heard of, and it's kind of an up and comer. So you think of it like Ethereum's this network, Ether, ETH, that's the coin, right? And apps, NFTs that are on the Ethereum network require Ether to run it. So think of like, Ether is the gas that runs the Ethereum network. Okay. And then you've got stable coins, and these are, stable coins are just that. They're stable. They're pegged to the US dollar. Okay. And they use those for, being able to park money or move money from point A to point B. They'll park it in a stable coin rather than convert it to a currency. And that way it's like everybody's got the US dollar through these stable coins. And then you've got the big ones, and the ones I'm excited about are what's called the transactional coins. Okay. And the transactional coins, and I'm sure there's some Bitcoin gurus out there that are like, oh my gosh, he's screwing this up. That's not what today's about. It's about the 101, right? And so what I want to do is I want to encourage you to kind of get plugged into the crypto world a little bit. And this is a good place to start. Do your homework, obviously. But transactional coins, the big one right now, there's two that a lot of people are talking about, XRP and an XLM. What that is, it's good for transferring money from point A to point B. And I'm not talking, okay, I'm gonna Venmo Wendy some money. I'm not talking about like that, but I've got a large sum of money I need to transfer to my uncle that lives in Germany, for example. So I can't just, I could take some regular money, throw it in an envelope, and he's going to get it a while. Or I could use the current SWIFT system in the banks. A lot of, international fees. It takes a while for him to get the money. Or, what Ripple and XRP are building, it's instant, meaning I can purchase the XRP, transfer it to him, and he can turn around and turn it into, I think it's Deutschmarks. I don't know what they call the marks, maybe, I don't know, the German dollar.
Yeah.
So, at that point, you can convert it, and it's so there's a use to it, right? It's being used for transactions. Same thing with XLM, and there's some other ones out there. And then you've got utility tokens, and I love this analogy. And I'm like, okay, how do I explain the difference between a transaction token and a utility token? So transaction tokens can really be used anywhere, right? You don't have to be, it's almost like currency. If you've ever gone on a cruise and you've got the American dollar, you go to these certain ports. Oh yeah, we take US dollar, right? So it's kind of like that. That's a very simplistic explanation, but a good explanation for utility tokens are like arcade tokens. If Gen Xers can relate to that, meaning if I had I was in ABC arcade, right? I couldn't take that token that I would change my money and go over to Flynn's arcade, Tron fans, go to Flynn's arcade, right? And use that same token there. The machines wouldn't take it. Or I can't take my poker chip from Caesars and walk over to Stardust or, one of the other casinos and use it on those tables. You've got to cash it out, turn it to cash, and then buy their tokens. So that's what utility tokens are out, and there's several out there that are going up and going down. And then lastly, and this is what a lot of people get caught up in because you see a lot of it on TikTok, especially for newbies that are into the crypto world. I know I was, kind of, oh man. And these are the meme coins. Okay. And we all know what a meme is, right? It's a joke. Okay. It's not to be taken seriously. It's kind of making fun of something. But a lot of these meme coins that are out there, and I'm talking Dogecoin, that's a big one that everybody knows about. Shibu, and then Pepe, that's another one. Those are kind of the top three known. Trump had a coin for a while. The Haktui girl, they came out with a coin for a while. And like, first of all, why would anybody buy that? But a bunch of people did, right? A bunch of people did.
I think people got in trouble for that too. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think she's still dealing with that. And, I hope it works out for her, because I honestly feel like she was, taken advantage of, and somebody talked her into doing something she didn't know what she was getting into. And then she kind of got left holding the bag. But, that'll shake out in court. But those are the meme coins. They're just like, hey, it's almost like monopoly money, right? Let's see if it goes up. And people make money on it, but it's very, all of these coins are unpredictable to some degree. Now, utility coins, things like that, those are a little more predictable. But it's a dangerous world. I tell people that are interested in it, crypto's fun, but you want to treat it kind of like Vegas, right? If you got a little bit of money set aside, you want to learn about it, there's no better way to get into it, but get into it for like $50, $100, right? And some of these coins don't even cost a penny, right? So they're like, 1,000th of a penny, but hey, at one point in time, Bitcoin was 1,000th of a penny, right? I think it started in 2009. And I think the very first transaction with Bitcoin, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but somebody bought pizza with Bitcoin. So they paid for their pizza in Bitcoin. Now, right now, as we're filming this, Bitcoin's around $103,000 per coin. So, the pizza company that took those, 15 coins or whatever
Hopefully they held them.
And they held on to them. Yeah, they're doing well. And that's a little bit crazy. But, how do you actually go buy it? You're not going to go to your bank and say, yeah, I want to buy some, Bitcoin or whatever the case may be. But there's places called exchanges, right? Just like if you've ever traveled overseas, you see, currency exchange, right? Same kind of concept. There's Coinbase, there's Kraken. I love Gemini. As a matter of fact, I'll put a link in if you want to check out Gemini. You can take a look at that. But they're very easy to use. They are regulated, right? But you got to keep an eye on the fees, right? Some have better fees, transactional fees and stuff like that. But the great thing is, because crypto is being more and more centralized, not centralized, but being more used, more common, those different exchanges are competing with one another, so their fees are coming down, which is it's great. I'm all about no fees, right? And then you've got brokerages too. A little bit of a difference there, but you gotta be careful with brokerages, because sometimes you don't really own the crypto. It's like the people who buy gold but leave it stored somewhere in Delaware. They get a certificate. A certificate says I have a bar of gold, but you don't really have the bar of gold. You get a piece of paper. And supposedly your bar of gold is sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Delaware, safe and sound. Maybe, maybe not. That's how banks, old school banks, actually started. But like Robinhood, PayPal, and things like that. So again, you just got to do your homework. And then lastly is peer-to-peer. I do not recommend this, especially for a newbie. You've really got to know the person. I mean, there's fake silver and gold being sold on eBay right now. The stuff's coming out of China and things like that. So unless you really know who it is, I would not recommend that. I would go and work with the exchanges. And that's really, that's going to be your safest bet to acquire some actual Bitcoin. Now they don't actually send you the coin. You'll see right here, that right there is a digital coin, right? It's a crypto. I'm not going to say which one, but it's a crypto. It's not an actual crypto. I'm not going to take that and say, hey, give it to you. It's a little like emblem, right? And it was given to me when I bought my first real coin, just as a representation, like, hey, welcome to the world, the crypto world. But you want to open the exchange, right? Open an account on a reputable exchange. Verify your identity. They're going to make sure you are who you say you are, right? You're going to link it to a bank or a debit card. Now, I know some of you, especially Gen Xers, like, whoa. I don't want to link my bank account or anything like that. But you've got to be able to move money from point A to point B, and that's how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, you got to get the money in there. You can't go deposit cash.
Nope. And if you want, go to your bank and open up a second account, right? And get a debit card for that, and then just transfer money out of your main account into that account. And that can be your crypto account. So I don't think this will happen, but I don't know what I don't know. If that ever gets hacked through your crypto exchange, then they're not going to have access to anything other than what you had in there already. So, but that's it. And start small. Start small. Like I said, don't go into it. Oh man, I heard this on TikTok. This guy seems legit. You don't even know anymore with AI if that guy or gal is real that's talking to you. It could be somebody that got tired of sending emails from the Prince of Zimbabwe and is now just doing the crypto world. So again, Wild West to some degree, but there are a lot of things that you can do to kind of protect yourself. So
yeah. So now I saw you got something in the mail a couple months ago, maybe.
Yep.
But it was, I guess, a cold wallet. So
Yep.
next question, where do you store your crypto? Because I know for me, like I just have mine in Gemini. Like I don't really do anything else. So explain the differences there.
So, you've got hot wallets, right? So basically think of, I go to the ATM, I pull out my cash. Well, I'm not going to walk around with my cash in my hand, right? I want to put it somewhere. Now, if you're transactional, meaning I'm really into it, I'm doing, quasi day trading in crypto, you're probably going to leave it, or a large portion of it, in your exchange so you can move it back and forth, right? So think of a hot wallet as though you're taking it out of the exchange and putting it in a safe spot, right? That only you have the key to. So there's a couple different things you can do. The hot wallet is still online. So you're taking it and you're storing it virtually in the cloud somewhere. So if one of the exchanges were to get hacked or something like that, and an account was cleaned out, they're not going to access that, right? It's still vulnerable to hacks of that wallet though. So you really got to kind of do your due diligence. Now, a buddy of mine turned me onto the cold wallet. And the reason it's called cold is it's completely offline. It's physical. I've got mine right here. I haven't opened it yet. There it is. It's Trezor. Right there, Trezor. And basically it's TREZOR. And there are several of them out there. I just like that one. He used it. He recommended it because I'm what's called a holder, meaning I'm not trying to day trade the stuff. I got a business to run. I got, things I want to do. I want to go boating or whatever the case may be, go see my kid play baseball. I've got life. So I'm not day trading. I'm buying it and holding it because I think in the future, the value is going to be much higher. Look at the Bitcoin history, right? I think in the future, the coins that I'm buying are actually going to be worth more. So I'm just going to sit on them. So I'm taking them offline and then putting them into cold storage into this little virtual box, and think of it like a external hard drive. Right now, the key about that is you've got to make sure you can access it because it's got encrypted passwords and stuff like that, and you don't want to lose it. There is a story, and I forget the amount, but this gentleman had placed his Bitcoin, and he had bought quite a bit of it when it was like less than $1. Okay, and he had it stored in a cold wallet, but it was a hard drive. And I think it was his girlfriend at the time, by mistake, got rid of the hard drive. They were getting rid of some equipment, sending it to the landfill, and somehow that got mixed in with it. And it's still to this day buried in the landfill. And I'm talking literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
Wow.
And you can Google it, look it up. But I mean, he's offered to pay a multi-million-dollar finder's fee or reward, whatever, to the community, to the county, to let him go in to search into the landfill. And they said no. So literally there's millions of dollars buried in some landfill somewhere. But Google it. It's a sad story, but it's kind of like, oh my gosh. So my point with that is be careful. Okay. And then you've also got, you can leave it in your exchange. Like I said, it's convenient, but again, if the exchange gets hacked, you could be exposed and lose it. The rule of thumb, not your keys, not your crypto kind of thing, right? And it's the same way with gold and silver. If you leave it stored outside, if I don't see it, if I don't have it, it ain't really mine, right? So anyway.
Gotcha. And tell me a little bit, you said security. So some of the things, I guess the risks, right? We have volatility because we see prices can go up kind of like the market.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right?
Well, much faster.
Much faster than the market. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, you look at in crypto, it can go up and down, and it's pretty. The more you get into it, you can start to see kind of the trends of what triggers it, what doesn't it, or what what causes go up, what causes go down. But it's very, very volatile, and it can rise very, very fast, and it can fall very, very fast. And so that's where it's again from a holder's perspective. I don't want to get all emotional about that. I'm all about the no drama zone. My daughter can attest to this. So I'm like, okay, I think this is over the next 2 years going to go up. I'm going to buy X, and X, not a coin, but just X, right? Whatever that coin may be. And then prices can fluctuate vastly. Also, regulation. I mean, there since I've started purchasing crypto, and it's been 5 years, I started kind of kicking it around. It's been crazy to watch the regulation around it, the regulatory environment, right? Because you had the last administration, the Biden administration, they didn't want it. China tried to outlaw it. India did outlaw it for a while, and then that quickly backlashed on them because they were trying to create a central bank digital currency, CBDC, right? And so basically, they see all this money flying to and fro, right? And they're like, "Hey, we want to tax that stuff, but we can't see it, so we can't tax it. So we're gonna create our own U.S. digital currency, and that's going to replace the dollar. But now we can see it, and they can also control what you buy, by the way, because it's centralized. And so, with the Trump administration, he's come in and done a complete 180 with the U.S., really wanting to make the United States the digital currency capital of the world, and which is exciting, right? It's exciting because I honestly, I believe now. And it's funny because my very first conversation, I had somebody ask me about crypto, and it was a young Gen Z, and I'm like, I don't know much about it, but to me, it seems like monopoly money. There's no real value other than you and I say it's worth X, and we try to get this Yahoo over here to buy it for 2X, right? Yeah. That's the wrong approach, and it's easy to see that, but I've learned so much about it, and I'm telling you, it's real, and it's here, and you need to at least take a look at it. I'm not saying make it a large part of your portfolio, but you should, take a look at it. If it fits what you're looking for, great, do it. And again, this is not investment advice, okay? This is just me saying I love creating multiple streams of income. I love creating multiple sources of wealth. This is something that I think is worth a look at if it's what you want. And then obviously taxes. That's a big one. The United States a couple of years ago came out on the 1040 form asking if you had crypto, and that was the only question. If you lied on that question, you were going to jail. Because they want to know. And now the crypto exchanges are, you got to identify yourself, give your social security number stuff. So they figured out a way to tax it in order for that environment to grow. They kind of had to play ball with the governments and things like that. But it's something that you've got to be careful. There were people that when crypto first started catching on, there were crypto credit cards, not to earn crypto because those are out now, but you could actually use your crypto like a debit card. And everybody was swiping, buying the pizzas. Well, that's a taxable event when you do it. So it's like, tax.
You're not just paying sales tax. You're paying,
you're paying income tax. So it's like, okay, if my 401k had a card attached to it, I could start spending it on my 401k. Well, you got to pay taxes on that if it's pre-tax, right?
Yeah.
And then, you've got to look at the scam and hype and stuff like that. There's people out there that'll, for 10%, I'll show you that. Do your homework, folks. Use the trusted exchanges. Use the regulated environment. If you get some rando text, don't go for it. If you get some rando, person reaching out to you about their investment strategy on, I forget some of the things that are out there, but again, go with reputable companies. Okay, don't try to get rich quick.
Yeah. Don't listen to people that promise you guaranteed returns and things like that. So really we want to educate ourselves, and you guys, ChatGPT is great for that. I mean, I'll be honest, I popped in ChatGPT, explained crypto like I'm a 5th grader, and it helped. So for those of us that, right, it's a weird thing. It's a new thing, and not new anymore, I guess, but it's something that we're not accustomed to. We, our generation didn't grow up with it. And then, like John said, starting small. I have a little bit, and I use Gemini and play with it a little bit. And I'm not putting money in there that I'm worried about losing. I'm putting stuff in there that if it's there, great, and if it grows, great, and if not, that's okay too. So, and then like John said, he's buying and holding. Like, figure out, like, are you holding? Are you trading? Are you just learning? I mean, kind of like, I know a lot of people get into, my dad is all watching these people on YouTube about day trading in the stock market. Same kind of thing, right? You've got to learn it. You got to understand lots of risk involved in it. And then that security piece. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I can just jump in, I mean, I would encourage everybody when you're learning it, don't even think about spending more than $50, $100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, treat it like if the casino's in Vegas on a budget, right? It's one of those things that you're just trying to learn the ropes. Okay. So if you lose $100, yeah, it may sting a little, but it's not the end of the world. Right. So again, kind of play around with it. And before you even make that first purchase, hop on YouTube. There's some people that I follow that I think are really good. But there's a lot of people out there that, they're chuckleheads. I'm not going to lie. Just like in the financial planning world, there's a lot of traditional planners out there that are chuckleheads. Right. So do your homework, make sure it aligns with you. And also from a biblical perspective, I mean, you want to make sure it aligns with your biblical approach. Crypto is one of those things. It's like fire, right? It can heat your house up. It can do some great things. And we all see the people that, I made millions on crypto, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Keep in mind that all of that stuff, that lifestyle stuff you see on social media, that's marketing. That's all it is marketing. And anymore, we don't even know if it's true because there's a lot of AI. But it can also burn your house down. Okay. So it's like playing with fire. But for Gen X and millennials, I think it can be a great tool for diversification, but only if you approach it with wisdom and avoid the hype. So, that's kind of the big piece. But, if you want to see how crypto might fit in a bigger plan that you have, or you don't really have a plan, again, we'd love to help you out. That's what we do. We do financial planning, get the plan, do something with it or not. Just mention the show, whether you listen to us on YouTube or on the podcasts. But again, it can be a great tool for a bigger wealth plan. But do I think you should put everything in crypto? No way, not at all. Same thing I feel about gold, same thing I feel about real estate. A mix is great. Diversification is where you win. And the goal is to create multiple streams of income for your retirement years and even before. So,
yeah, absolutely.
That's all I got, Wendy.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, drop those in the comments. Maybe we do some more videos on crypto. I know John and I, before we started, we're talking about nodes. I've been offered to buy nodes several times and have learned a little bit about that. I actually feel like I know more about that than I do the crypto itself. But so if you have questions, let us know and we'll bring it in. This was a 101 episode, but maybe we'll dig a little deeper in future episodes. But let us know what your questions are again, and go get that safemoneyroadmap.com to get your free financial plan. Just mention the show, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Prosper in the Kingdom. If this episode added value to your day, be sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use the encouragement. For more resources, head to prosperinthekingdom.com. Let's continue building lives of purpose and abundance, one step at a time.